Police officers are regularly patrolling in Auckland schools' grounds up to 3 times a day, but the college involved says it's welcoming the attention. Whangaparāoa College, just north of Auckland, has had incidents of bullying and violence, with groups fighting and posting the footage online over the past several years. Since the beginning of this term, local community constables have been walking the beat inside the schoolyard. With us now to discuss the issue is Whangaparāoa College Principal Steve McCracken. Steve, I appreciate you coming on because your school is obviously the focus of this interview and you've fronted up for it. Why, though, have you got police walking inside your school grounds so often?
Yeah, tēnā koe, Anna. It's part of a complete wraparound approach that we've been taking. We've been part of a Hibiscus Coast Hauora Youth Network where multi-agency approaches come together and look at best ways of serving and helping our community address violence within our community. Let me get this really clear. There is no place for violence in the community, let alone in schools.
But it's not just in your community, is it? It's in your school. For patrols to be there 3 times a day, this is not a community issue, this is your school issue.
It is a school issue, but it's not necessarily what we would deem as normal patrols, normal out on the beat. This is very much a proactive approach which we're taking in conjunction with the police. We were approached by police earlier this term to say, hey, look, can we come and just be a bit of a presence in your school? We still go through our own discipline processes and things when things don't go right, but it's very much almost like a youth aid type approach where police get the opportunity to interact in a positive manner, ambulance at the top of the cliff rather than bottom of the cliff approach.
You wouldn't need a proactive approach if there wasn't something wrong, though, in the first place.
Yeah, I think schools are a snapshot of what's happening in society, and I think that there's a way in which we can be really part of a wider community, and I think that this is just one aspect in which we're doing to achieve that.
In one incident, you had 31 students stood down and 10 suspended. What happened?
Yep, there was a fight. Let's just be really honest. It was filmed, it was all over social media, and we took a really positive and proactive approach in terms of a bit of a circuit breaker by standing the learners down, and some of those learners, unfortunately, are no longer with us.
That's literally dozens. That's more than a whole classroom's worth.
Yep.
And it's not the first time Whangaparāoa's been in the headlines for having fights at school.
Yep, and I think that nearly every school in the country could say that they've had incidences of this happening in their school, particularly over the last few years.
But it's not that bad that they get police in to patrol the grounds because they have this culture that's problematic?
Oh, I don't think it's necessarily a culture. This is a proactive approach in which we're having to support our young people to be better members of society as we go out into the community. You
have CCTV on the grounds as well, and that's not just to protect the buildings?
Oh, we're a very open school. We have people wandering through the school all the time. Weekends, we don't have fences, we don't have gates, so absolutely.
Is the CCTV there to protect the students?
There's an element of that, yeah, absolutely, and we do review footage when things don't go right.
We've had an email in from a parent, and I'm going to put a few of these points to you. She said that the school has a problem with bullying, fighting, threats, violence, fight clubs, weapons, vaping and drugs. Overall, a bad culture. She says kids are told to hang around the CCTV so incidents can be caught on camera. Is that accurate?
I'm not sure if that's accurate, if that's come from us or not. However, we're just like any other school in terms of the issues that young people are facing right now. Social media is a massive thing for us in terms of learners wanting to have that notoriety, that one-upmanship. And yeah, we do have issues with vaping, and we are being really proactive in how we address it.
She says there are an enormous amount of stand-down suspensions and expulsions, but they're inconsistently applied. Many kids are allowed back to school, and I know that you will have a point to make about that, but that they then continue bullying.
Yep, and we follow all of the processes just like any other school in legislation that we're allowed to. So a stand down is a circuit breaker for us. It allows us to regroup, it allows the learners and their families to regroup before returning to school. Any student under the age of 16 is entitled to an education, full stop. And when it gets to the point that we have exhausted all resources, then of course we have no other ways of dealing with this other than to suspend to our Board of Trustees.
Okay. Final point was, kids are anxious and scared, and had I known the school was like this, I never would have enrolled my child. Are students safe at your school?
100% they're safe, and we're doing everything we can to ensure that staff, students and the wider community are as safe as possible within our school and within the wider community.
Police couldn't put they had no one available to talk to us. They were willing to, but they didn't have anyone. So this is a question that's not necessarily reflective of what your position would be. But we do have a shortage of patrolling police numbers in this country. It's an argument that comes up time and again. Is this a fair and reasonable use of police patrols or police resources in the community when there are other things they could be doing during their day?
So all of the police that we've had on site so far are youth aid officers. Part of their job is to engage with the youth, and we're allowing that to happen. And
how much longer do you think police will need to be patrolling your grounds that regularly?
So we've got a bit of a plan with the youth aid team up at Whangaparāoa, and we're going to reevaluate it after about 6 months and up to about 12 months to see if we've had a positive impact, not only within our school but within the wider community.
And what would your hope be ultimately, that you didn't need police at all on site?
Oh, 100%. It would make our life so much easier. It would make their lives so much easier. Ideally, the police would be out of a job and would be able to focus on teaching and learning.
Wouldn't we all like the police to be out of a job? Steve McCracken, thank you very much for coming in this morning. Really appreciate it.
Kia ora.